Welcome to episode 101 of the Concealed Taco Dudes podcast.
Yay!
Woo-hoo. So the reason, I won't get into the topic yet. I was going to say the number of this episode and the topic are related somewhat. But
They are. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But anyways.
Let's jump into some sponsors real quick. NOE.
NOEBulletMolds.com. Use coupon code FLT001 and it'll save you, I think, 10%.
On anything.
On anything. Even if they have in stock Dylan presses.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, it is a nice discount.
Yeah, check them out at
NOEBulletMolds.com.
Black Ice Coatings at blackicecoatings.com. The best gun finishes around. That guy does amazing stuff. And if you want your mountain bike dipped, he'll do that too.
Maybe he will. You might have been a special case.
Well, I am definitely a special case, but mine wasn't the first he's ever done. And I'm
really?
sure
And
it
he
won't be
does
the
some
last.
pretty crazy things.
He does some really
He did a whole
crazy
trailer one time.
Really?
Yeah, somebody wanted a whole trailer dipped.
Whoa. How do you dip a trailer?
Piece at a time.
Things.
They had to disassemble it
yeah.
completely.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's insane.
Interesting.
Anyway, check out Black Ice Coatings. You can follow them on Instagram and Facebook to see what they've been doing lately.
Use coupon code SLICKERY.
Just call them up and say Slickery, and they'll take care of you. All right, let's jump into what we did with guns.
Who wants to go first?
Everyone's looking at me.
Ladies first.
Hey, Jason, what'd you do?
I haven't shot this week. I did a lot of shooting in previous weeks, mostly air guns, but I did take my XDM 10mm for a hike.
Nice.
Nice.
Did a very last minute, like Wednesday at work. I was thinking, crap, this weekend is the last weekend I have to do whatever I want, and race season starts, which means I'm all over the state every other weekend racing I'm not racing. The kids I coach are racing. My kids are racing. It'll be my son's first year racing, and so I gotta go do something. And I have a brand new backpack, brand new Osprey backpack, a brand new hammock tent that I picked up from a local company here, and a new squeeze filter, all brand new stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna go test this stuff. So I got home from work, told my son Ian, I'm like, dude, let's go backpacking. We'll leave Friday afternoon after lunch. We'll go up, drive up, hour and a half into the Uintas, hike in, camp, test all this stuff.
What area did you go to?
So just past Mirror Lake, there is a parking lot for Pass Lake Trailhead. So we parked there, and it's only a 1.5 mile hike to Camas Lake. It's pretty steep. It's quite steep toward the end. But so we just hiked, 1.5 miles. Actually, we ended up going around the lake looking for a spot to camp when we got there. So we ended up doing 2.5 miles.
Nice.
Much of which was bushwhacking.
Nice.
So had my Cobra chest harness on with my backpack on. Thing is awesome. Doesn't move.
Quick question. Have you shot your XDM in 10mm yet?
Yeah, I wouldn't be carrying it if I had.
I'm just curious. I was about to give you a hard time.
I will not
was just
carry a gun.
looking for a way to jump on you.
I've got more than 200 rounds through the XDM.
Okay.
Of course, the question I have is, why would you shoot an XDM?
I know. I am not a huge Springfield fan. I don't think they make bad stuff.
No, they're not bad.
It's just, I hear people complain about Glocks. Oh, they're so blocky and chunky and da-da-da-da. Well, what do you like? Well, I have an XD. Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
They're just not, they're not attractive guns. They're just kind of blocky. And now the Hellcat, I think, is an awesome little gun.
They're great.
That's very refined compared to a lot of the other stuff they've done. The reason I bought the XDM is because it was in 10mm, and other than a 1911 in 10mm, which I didn't want just because it's a lot heavier gun and you have less round count. Those are the only reasons. They shoot better. They're way prettier, but I wanted something that I could bushwhack with and not worry about.
Basically, you
that.
wanted something you could fall off a mountain with, and if it got lost, you wouldn't cry. That's basically
more or less.
Okay.
More or less.
Okay.
But
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Of all the tactical Tupperware out there, the XDM, I think, is the best feeling gun in the hand, ergonomically. compared to a Glock, compared to what else was I looking at? I don't even remember now. It felt nice. It had a smaller grip profile and everything, and I just went, that's what I want. And
it was in stock at the time.
and they had it.
Well, there you go. If it was in stock and it fits your hand, then that's what matters.
Yeah.
And the other nice thing is if you do lose it in the woods, anybody that finds it isn't going to pick it up.
Wow.
Oh.
Send your
Sorry.
hate mail into Gene Tessier. So anyway, I got to test all that stuff, and we do these little trips like this every now and then. We call it a sub 240 or S240 because we literally left the house at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we got home at 3 o'clock the next
no
day.
kidding.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's awesome that we live so close to backcountry stuff. Good.
Yeah, like
Mountainous.
really good stuff.
Yeah, hour and a half drive, and we're in the backcountry,
Oh, yeah.
basically. But it's just, even though it's super quick, it was just cool to get out. The air was clear. We've had so much smoke and crap in the air lately. And just to spend one-on-one time with my son and hang out and
Awesome.
talk. And,
Yeah.
I've been using that Hennessy hammock. I just got this other one, a Haven, and so he was in the Hennessy for the first time, and he thought that was pretty cool. He liked it, and I had both of our hammocks came off of the same tree and then went out to others, so our heads were near each other, so we could sit
Nice.
there and talk
Chat.
to each other while we were laying there. But anyway, so yeah.
So I'll throw this out there. The prepper tip number whatever number 101.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for episode 101 is to test your equipment. And
Oh, yeah.
what better way to test your equipment if it's in your what do they call them?
Your bug out bag.
Your bug out bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're gonna have some stuff in your bug out bag, go camping and test it out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Well,
then you'll see if it works, and two, if you like it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you'll have stuff and it works, kind of,
Right.
but it just sucks.
Well, and that's
you don't like it.
with this
Yeah.
new hammock tent that I have. Awesome, super innovative design, really cool. But there's some things that I don't like about it that I can change, and I'm going to make it simpler to set up, a little bit more functional, and things like that. The backpack that my son used, this is the first time he'd ever been backpacking. Which, sorry to say, he's 12. The first time I took him, he's been bike packing, but he hasn't been backpacking. So, but the
Well,
backpack,
12's a good age.
yeah,
It is. You don't want to
know,
start them
they're
too
ready-
he
little.
carried all of his own stuff.
Yeah.
Other than I carried the stove and
Yeah.
the stuff that we were both going to be using. But
Did you get pretty cold?
no, it did not get cold last night. It was quite pleasant. But that backpack is one that his older brother used when he was a little guy, and for whatever reason, it's an old external frame.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a nice one. It's a Mountain Smith external frame pack, but just the way some of the stuff is strapped on the harness in the back had this knot that rubbed him right in the middle of his back, and there was nothing I could do to change it. So I'm like, okay, that pack's out. We'll get you a better one.
See, and that's why you got to test this.
Yeah.
And it was a short trip, so if we had a problem like that, it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
Years ago, I took my 3 oldest when they were my one daughter was maybe 10, and we backpacked up in there, and it started raining, and I was using my pyramid tent, so it's one pole in the middle, stake it out, no
Yeah.
floor, just throw in these little tarps that I have that you can fit in your back pocket. And we finished our dinner, jumped in the tent, and it's like hailing, and then it started snowing.
Oh, nice.
And I was
Oh,
like,
geez.
okay guys, we got to make a decision. Are we going to stick this out? Because it might get really cold. It was June or July when we were there. Yeah. And I was, and so we all thought about it, and they're like, yeah, let's not try to stick it out. I'm like, I think that's a good decision. So we packed everything up, and we hiked the 1.5 miles back out, whiteout, while we were driving on the highway out of the Uintas. It was crazy. I was like, good decision, guys. But that's why I do stuff like that, especially with my kids when they're real little.
Yeah.
It's like, if you have something, I don't want them to have a horrible experience. I'm okay if they're uncomfortable and they're doing hard things and it pushes them, that's kind of the point. But I don't want to make it absolutely miserable either. Because
Yeah,
that just
well,
turns
it
them
should
off
be a
to it.
good
Yeah.
activity.
Yeah.
Although when something crazy happens, those are the most memorable
Yeah,
ones. It's
my
fun.
older kids still talk about that. We were there for like 3 hours, and they still talk about it. So anyway, that's what I did with my 10 millimeter. Took it for a walk.
You took it
Nice.
for a walk. All right, Gene.
Well, so actually, before I got here this evening, I was shooting with Connie Brooks. She used to own Barnes Bullets. She's the local facilitator for the Girl and a Gun organization.
Yep.
And
I love
they
those
had
ladies.
They're awesome. They
They're
really are.
awesome.
We need to have Connie come on.
Yeah.
I think that would be good, and but they had a couple shoot, so I was actually able to go there as just the husband, not as an instructor, as somebody teaching them something, but just go and have fun and shoot, and it was a really fun time, and got to mingle with the ladies and their husbands, and it was just a lot of fun shooting pizza afterwards. It was good.
You shot pizza afterwards?
We did. So
That's interesting. Extra points if you hit a pepperoni?
If you shot the pineapple off. Then
Exactly. There's nothing more annoying than getting a piece of pizza that looks good. Like there was this piece of white sauce pizza. It's got chicken on it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a little different. I'll have some chicken pizza. And I get through like almost to the crust, and I realize there's pineapple on it.
I grew up on ham and pineapple pizza, so...
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I actually don't mind it, but I like to joke about it.
Huh.
Yeah.
right.
So that's what I did today. I don't know what I did earlier in the week, but I shot today.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, is that
It's
Your turn.
my turn?
It's-
Okay,
yeah.
so it's a little bit of speak and tell, or
Yeah.
show and tell, but showing these guys, and then we'll describe it. But I ended up trading in my Hotson Flash, the 177 air gun.
Is that the one you had
The
last
one-
time?
I had it before, yeah.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
I've been thinking about getting one
and it
of
was
those.
it was a wood stock. It looked really nice. It just didn't shoot
It
up
wasn't
to.
as accurate as you wanted it to be
Yeah.
since you bought your crown.
Oh, I know, man. So, anyways, the one I got, it's an Air Max, and it's Air and then MAKS, and it's
Okay.
an Air Max Catran or Catron or whatever you want to call it. And I got the same caliber. I went with 177 because all my other guns are 22, and so I wanted something with, something that's
Deadly accuracy in a 177.
Yes. Yes. So something with just a little bit less energy, if I was shooting it somewhere like in a neighborhood or something where it was legal to
Nobody
shoot
would
air
do
guns.
that, though.
Yeah. So
Gene has a confused
Gene
look
is-
on his face.
What do you mean, not legal? I shoot my 45s in town all the time.
yeah.
Downtown Payson.
Yeah. So anyways, the cool thing about this gun or this air gun,
Everything about that is cool.
It is
everything about it is
looking
cool.
rifle.
So it has like a side cocking lever,
Okay.
and
So very much like the FX.
Is it?
it does feel like the FX.
Is it
cocking
ambidextrous?
levers. It is. You can swap it to either side.
Ooh,
The
I like.
stock is nice and solid. It's a folding stock.
It looks like it's all machined. It
Yes.
looks like it's all billet machined.
Well, and it's made in the Czech Republic, so you know
Yes.
it's good.
So it has like CZ barrels.
Yeah.
It's good. And the stock is nice and solid, but it's a push button
Kind of a
folding stock.
skeletonized stock that folds,
And then it fits 2 spare magazines.
which
that-
is genius. Why
I
isn't
know.
anybody else
Every
doing
air
that?
gun should be doing that. Like 2.
And how many rounds does that hold?
I don't
It
know.
looks like a bunch.
It's a bunch. Yeah.
Like
And
at
we
least
No,
a dozen.
If you count the little holes.
Oh, is that how that works?
Yeah, I
Holy
didn't want to
smokes.
count it on air. That'd be kind of boring. But
Shame we don't know how to count.
another cool thing about the magazine is that it has a detent, so it just slides right in. But there's no plastic cover on the outside, so it's not a 2-piece magazine like most of the other airgun magazines. And the way it works is, and you don't have to pre-wind it
Gene,
and
count
stick
the
one in. Gene's counting.
It's 18 rounds.
Wow.
Holy
Nice.
smokes, that's a lot.
177. So you can actually load it one at a time, and you can top it off the same way.
Nice.
without having to.
So it's a little more,
And it's
a little
It
simpler.
feels very high quality, machined. I think the outside is, I don't know, is it aluminum or plastic?
It's aluminum on one side,
And then plastic on
and
the
then
other.
plastic on the other, and the
But
gear.
not like a cheap plastic. It's
No,
like
it's
a nice
it's
high
quality.
Yeah.
It's like some really good looking Delrin or something.
And then on the cheek piece, the cheek riser
Mm-hmm.
piece of the stock, it is adjustable, so you have vertical
so you can
adjustment.
raise it.
Yeah, you can raise it,
Nice.
lower it. And then on the length of pull, it has also an adjustable length of pull. And the safety feels great. I think it takes AR-15 grips,
Yeah.
and you can get it in a bottle configuration or a
It looks similar to an AR chassis
type gun. Yeah.
type gun, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it comes with a couple baffles at the end of the shroud or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is threaded for the air gun suppressors.
Hmm.
So
They're moderators.
moderators. Anyways,
it looks an awful lot like a really classy Ruger precision rifle.
yeah,
Yeah.
Kinda, it does look
It
similar
has
to that.
it
Yeah.
has that look, that side profile, and they're beautiful, very attractive guns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is it's
about-
classy.
Yeah, everything about that just kind of oozes quality, craftsmanship, and design. I mean, they kind of thought about everything.
Yeah.
It looks like something you would see standard in the back of a in the back of Bond's car,
Yeah.
or like John
see
Wick.
that.
Like you could see John Wick playing with this.
If it
It's-
wasn't an air gun.
If it was,
Yeah.
he'd play
But-
with it.
Yeah, anyways, I threw on top just Vortex Strike Eagle 1 to 8.
Nice.
I feel like that kind of complements the purpose I use it for. And
Yeah.
the purpose is killing critters
Nice.
and I guess shooting paper. But I was worried about accuracy because they hadn't made these in 177 previously.
Okay.
And so I notified the Utah Air Guns guys. I went in, I was like, hey, as soon as they come in, please let me know. I want to shoot one, and if it shoots good, I want to buy one.
Mm-hmm.
And so they let me know when they got them in, the day they got them in.
Nice.
And I went in, and Justin had one with the scope mounted and everything ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I was using the little red-tipped polymag
Yeah.
pellets.
Mm-hmm.
And usually those don't shoot very good in a lot of guns or air guns. But I tell you, man, at the 35 yards, doing a pretty quick group with those,
Mm-hmm.
they all touching, in about a group size, the size of my pointer finger.
Wow.
Yeah, fingernail.
So that'd be about a 1/4 inch center to center. For those of you who worry that he may have gorilla hands, he has piano player hands, and that is a small group.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
very impressive. That's
So-
a good looking gun.
And all that for the low price of
I don't know, it's between 12 and
like
14.
12, 1400. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
somewhere
seems-
around there.
That seems about where.
You know,
Those are
but a
going.
good quality air gun. I mean, these aren't things you buy at Walmart. These aren't
No.
your Red Riders.
I always love
these
it when
things-
you're talking to people about them. They're like, "Oh yeah, airsoft."
Yeah, no.
No.
When you can hit a tic tac consistently at 35 yards with these things, you're not getting those for a couple $100.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the
Yeah.
quality is there to where they're just not cheap, but you get a lot for the money. And,
Yeah.
And I hate to say that because dadgummit, now I'm looking at that dadgum crown.
Okay, quick crown story. So my daughter, we were out shooting some air guns, and I said, hey, watch this. I'm going to unscrew the lid on my water bottle to open it by shooting the right side of the lid. So I stuck it out at about 20 yards, and then with my crown, popped it right, just skimmed the right edge and twisted that lid right off.
Did
Oh,
it
I believe
actually
it.
come off?
It went bzzz.
Nice.
I believe it. You know,
Nice.
last time I was up there, I had Thaddeus dig one out, and because I wanted to shoot it.
So accurate.
So I was like, it's probably accurate, but it's probably not as accurate as my CZ rifles. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
I came so close to just buying it right then and blowing my gun budget for like the next 3 months. But
But yeah,
it's on the list. I'm going to be buying one.
My daughter just rolled her eyes and then kept moving. She's like, yeah, that was impressive, but
Now, what would be really impressive is if you spin the cap off and then shoot it out of the air.
Yeah, work on that.
Yeah, that'd
Come
be
on.
hard with a scope. Trying to find a little thing in the air with a scope.
You just have to have it low power. You can do it.
Yeah.
We have faith in you.
But so I also shot some flies.
Oh,
There's,
nice.
Oh, wow.
At 30 yards, some flies kept landing on my target, and I kept shooting them.
Nice.
So I got multiple flies at 35 yards.
Multiple fly kills.
30 yards. Yeah.
Nice.
So I also went camping and backpacking, and on the backpacking trip, I packed that little Catran
Wow.
177, and I will say the 177 in that Catran is powerful enough to put down squirrels.
Nice.
So yeah, it was pretty awesome, and the fact that you can fold the stock and everything is pretty dang awesome. Yeah.
That's really cool. I might have to consider something like that for my next one.
Yeah, so the day after I bought this, and I called a friend and I was like, "Hey, you got to look at this." He shot it, and then he went and bought one.
Nice.
So he was thinking about buying an air gun, and I told him, hold off on, like, put a pause on all your AR-15 builds right now. Go buy an air gun,
Yeah.
and then after you get the air gun stuff, resume your AR-15 builds
Has
and stuff.
anybody been disappointed after they've been to Utah Air Guns and bought an air gun?
No, not that I've talked to.
No.
I've never heard of one.
I
They're all
haven't either.
super excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a bunch of clients come by that they come by just to brag about what they got there.
Yeah.
You know, they
Yeah.
pop the trunk and they're like, "Look at this air gun."
Well, you go into Utah Air Guns, and everybody has a smile on their face.
Yeah.
Because they're all happy with
They
what
do.
they have or what they're going to get.
Yeah. It is an awesome place to be. It's
But-
better than Disneyland, let's
Yeah.
be honest.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. But anyways, I cast up a bunch of 9mm 133 grain bullets from my NOE mold, and I will say I did a video on powder coating. So
I saw that.
yeah, it's
Really cool video.
I even had 2 cameras set up with different angles switching back and forth. High quality production.
Hoping they
Yeah.
won't delete it because your production quality
I
went
didn't
up.
show any bullet casting. So
And he didn't
Yeah.
call them bullets. You
I called them projectiles.
projectiles.
Yeah. Hopefully that
So
helps.
hopefully that works. Yeah.
I don't know. You never know
Nice.
with YouTube. And I did do some 357 mag bullets, a big pile of those. But
Nice.
Cool.
that's what I did with guns this week.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, we've already been talking about Utah Air Guns as we always do.
Coupon code
Air Candy,
at utahairguns.com.
free shipping and free turret stickers.
Nice.
But go check them out. We don't brag about our sponsors for any other reason than we use their stuff and it's awesome.
And we like them.
And they have
Good customer
service and
Yeah.
So go
we're
check
not
'em
driving
out.
Cadillacs from what they do for us. We
No.
like them. We like what they do. So
Yeah, go check them out. Also, mag holder at magholder.com. If you are carrying a spare magazine, and if you're not, why aren't you? Unless you have a revolver, and then we'll give you a pass. But
moon clips.
yeah,
moon clips, speed loaders, speed
horizontal
strips.
mag carriers, they are awesome. That's what I use. Even though I make my own, I use Mark's stuff because it's more comfortable and it's functional and it's good. So check out Magholder at magholder.com. Use the code. We have Get in the Van, I have candy. We have Magholder Mama. You could probably type in almost anything and it'll give you a discount at this point. But go check them out. Concealment Solutions at concealmentsolutions.com. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook if you want. Sometimes I post stuff. But your one-stop holster shop. Everything from concealed carry stuff, competition gear,
Knife
chest
sheaths.
holsters, knife sheaths. If you don't see what you have envisioned in your mind on the website, shoot me an email. I can probably build what you want. So use the code, show me the candy. You get like 15% off, I think, and I usually throw some swag in too,
Nice.
some stickers or whatever. So, anyway, that's it. Sponsors are done.
Nice.
World record.
All right.
Let's jump into Taco's top 5.
Dun dun dun.
We need some theme music.
We need
for
a
it.
sound bite.
We do.
Yeah.
We need
Like
something.
some like 80s elevator music.
I like that.
Now it's time for tacos. Top 5.
What are we
I'll
doing
work on
today?
that. I'll work on that maybe. Maybe I'll throw it in this episode.
Okay.
We'll see.
Nice.
I'm anxious now.
Okay. All right. And now it's time for Taco's Top 5. For this week's Taco's Top 5 list, we have top 5 reasons to shoot cast bullets.
Ooh. Now I have an idea. I'm going to play devil's advocate like I don't know anything about cast bullets. And I'll ask questions and you guys can answer them.
Okay, or we could save that for later.
Mostly because I don't cast bullets.
All right.
So this is going to be...
What's on your list? Well, maybe we'll
I don't. That's my point. I don't have a list.
Oh, Jason came unprepared. He did not research.
I was
Let
in the
whippings
mountains.
commence.
All right. Well, let's have Gene go through his 5 because I was ultra prepared and I came with a top 10.
Oh gosh!
Because
You can't break the rules like that.
no,
He
I
makes
came.
the rules. He
It
can
was,
break the rules.
It was just in case you used 5 of my items, and I would still have another top 5.
So I started to think I should come up with more than 5 because last time we did the top 5, I had to cross off like 2 or 3 of them. But since I'm starting first, I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So my top 5 reasons is one is cost. You can cast bullets
Sure.
pretty cheap, or you used to be able to when you could scrounge lead. I still scrounge lead like a homeless person.
I will say,
But-
even if you have to buy expensive lead, it's still cheaper
Oh, yeah.
than buying
Yeah.
projectiles.
Yeah, but
If
when you can
you're
get-
talking about like 50 cals, like the Smith & Wesson 500 bullets, those
Oh,
are
yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
But if you're paying like a premium price of like say $3 a pound, you're still saving tons of money.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, if you're buying jacketed Plinken rounds, you're spending $30 $100 easily right now, for your larger handgun calibers. So if you're doing $3 a pound, yeah, you're money ahead
Yeah.
still.
I knew that one, just so you know.
Okay. Of course, when you get hundreds of pounds of wheel weights for free, then you're doing really good.
Yeah.
But
oh
anyway,
yes,
accuracy, some guns actually shoot cast bullets better than they do jacketed bullets.
yeah. So
And you also get longer barrel life.
that's a second. You can't put 2 in one.
Sorry. It was this was number 2.
He's like knocking them out on my list. He's like,
Two
He's like, I'm gonna knock out 2 of tacos in one. So no, I was gonna say one of my buddies that we talked about him before, Kenny from the Eagle Eye Shooting Channel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He recently went to a competition, and he has this really fancy, I think it's a 40 cal 1911, and he contacted me and was like, hey man,
Why would you? Never mind.
Yeah.
it was a really nice custom
That just
build.
That just makes it worse. But go on.
Yeah. So he needed some bullets because he had this match coming up, and so I just sent him like my dies in one of the NOE molds. I was like, hey, go ahead and borrow this, and he ended up shooting like lights out with that little
Yeah.
40 cal 1911 with cast bullets. I would say, especially with handguns, you can get some really good accuracy out of cast bullets.
Oh yeah.
And why do you think that is?
I would say, okay, one of
Gremlins.
them, Gremlins.
Well, and it may just be this simplicity of it's a slower production rate, and so you're getting higher quality out of each piece as opposed to a system that's mass producing and just spitting them out faster. I don't know.
I would say you have different bore sizes. So even if you have like a 40 cal pistol, right? When they're using the
Let's
tooling
stop talking about 40s.
to cut
Please
through,
stop. Please stop.
when they're
Change it to
they're
something
cutting the
else.
rifling in a barrel, that tooling will start to wear, and
Yeah.
then you get different diameters.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even though you have a 308 rifle, maybe the true bore diameter is like 308.5 or 309 or something like that.
So how does
So
casting make that
casting,
better?
you can size the bullets to fit your bore.
Yeah, and most people that are shooting, like if you're shooting a revolver and you're using cast bullets, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to be fitting the bullet to match your throat, so
Okay.
the end of the cylinder, and your bore diameter. So a lot of the cast shooters, they'll slug the barrel to see what the actual diameter is, and then size it the bullet, 1,000th over that size.
Yeah,
And so
thousands
it'll-
or a couple thousands.
Yeah, sometimes 2 or 3, depending on the gun.
Yeah.
And I assume you have to have a specific mold for that.
Okay,
No.
so
Not necessarily.
I was going to
Cast
say
it differently.
for the Jasons out there,
And there's a lot of them.
when Gene says slug the bore, what he means is you get a little piece of lead,
Usually a round ball.
a round ball usually that's made out of soft lead, and you pound it through the barrel, and then you can measure the diameter of
Okay.
that, and
Yeah.
it gives you a true diameter of your barrel.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if you use calipers,
Yeah.
you're going to scratch up the inside of the barrel, most likely,
Yeah.
unless you're very good at it, and it's not going to be accurate.
Right.
It's not going to be as accurate as if you squish a piece of lead through there and then measure
that.
it.
Yep.
Yeah, that
So,
makes sense.
Yeah,
So that's what slugging the bore means.
yeah. It doesn't
Okay.
mean you're hitting it with a a right uppercut, and
I figured as much.
All right.
so
Okay, and then you did mention that the barrels last virtually forever.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like a 22 barrel, an air gun barrel. If you keep them clean, like the 22, you have to clean a little bit
Yeah.
because of the powder,
Right.
not because of the lead. The air guns, you really don't have to clean them. Like if they
Right.
get to a certain velocity, you do. But most of these pre-charged ones, they're running about 900 to 1,000
yeah.
feet per
this,
second.
This little 177 I got is running at about 800.
Oh, nice.
So,
Yeah, so you're in the happy place of lead's natural
where it likes to
lubricity.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually self-lubricating as it's leaving the bore.
Nice.
It's not leaving smears behind like if you're running soft lead at 1,200-1,400 feet per second, it's going to be smearing badly.
I hate leaving smears behind.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway,
Okay, what else do you got?
obsolete ammo. A lot of times it's easier
Okay,
to.
yeah.
Oh man, I'm just taking out
Man.
all your list.
This is good.
Taco's list
Yeah.
is going down.
So
It's a
so
good
like
thing I have
my-
10.
So my double rifle, Damascus barrels, you don't run copper through those.
Yeah.
I don't even want to run copper gas checks.
Yeah.
I'm just running straight lead, and
That makes sense.
it's happy. It's
Well,
a
that's
happy
what
rifle.
that gun was made to shoot,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And so there's a ton of guns out there that are the same way. They're just going to be much happier with shooting lead rather than shooting copper.
Yeah, but yeah, what Gene was saying at the beginning too, there's a lot of old guns out there that you cannot find bullets for. They just don't sell them. And
Yeah.
so you can,
But you know who does? NOE.
You know,
Buy mold.
yeah. So then you have custom bullet mold makers that will make
And there's-
bullets designed for specific guns and diameters and everything. And
Cool.
Yeah, and there's some odd ones out there.
Okay.
There's some that it'll take you an hour to load one round. I mean, there's some pretty crazy things, but they're cool guns. Some
Yeah.
of them.
yeah. I believe
Yeah.
you.
Okay, what else?
All right.
What's
the other
next?
one is performance. You get a hard cast lead bullet. Nothing's going to penetrate deeper or straighter.
Okay.
I
so
got some of those.
I have
That's what's in the HDM.
similar one where I said the control of the alloy. So you
Yeah.
control the alloy, which in turn controls what kind of performance you want. Whether
This
you
is true.
want a hard cast for penetration that doesn't deform, when it hits bone or something.
Just
It
punches through, makes
blows
a
right
mess.
through.
Right.
Or you go with a soft cast and you can go with just
It's just something that
like a
tears
just
everything up.
expands like a mushroom.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you can get just flat tipped bullets, not even hollow point ones,
Yeah.
that are cast soft, and they just
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
splat.
Well, and if you look at the performance of round balls in muzzle loaders, when you hear stories of guys back in the day shooting their muzzle loader and putting a fist-sized hole through something, it was round balls doing that.
Yeah.
They just flatten out because they're soft lead, moderate velocity, and they just performed exceptionally well.
And they were
And
50
that's-
cals.
We're 54 or 60 years.
Yeah. That helped a little.
That's the other thing too is you can match velocity with alloy,
Yeah.
and say you want something that really mushrooms out but is still subsonic, then you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's harder to do that with like a jacketed bullet.
Oh yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, if you want something really nasty and really explosive, you could just do, take some wad cutters, some hollow base wad cutters, turn them upside down.
Yeah.
and-
I've done that too.
Well, and Federal used to make those.
So then you get this trash can
Yeah.
with
It's-
this super crazy hollow point.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
trash can
They're-
cylinder flying, and when it hits, it just
I don't think I have any on me, but I actually had some jacketed. Yeah, I don't have any on me, but I had some jacketed versions.
I was gonna say that might be a little odd if you're like carrying some hollow
38s.
base, like 38s with it flipped around backwards,
bullets.
just in your pocket.
Well, normally I carry a 38 in the summer, and so I would have some speed loaders with them on there. But today, since I was at Connie's, I was shooting my 1911, so I apparently emptied my pockets of all the other ammo.
Makes sense.
And then the last one on my list, I think it says variety. I don't think it's vanity. I think it's variety.
I think it's vanity. Gene is very proud of his bullets, and I will say when I'm in a casting mode, I'm very proud of my bullets.
And you saw the last batch that I cast, and some of them I didn't go through them. I didn't do QC on them yet when I showed them. Some of them I was kind of ashamed of. It's like, oh my gosh, I let those out of the shop. Well, give those back.
Well, and that's the funny thing about like experienced bullet casters and then like noobs. Like if you show, you're like, hey, I cast these up. What do you think? And you're like, you didn't have proper fill out of the
Your
driving
edges are
bands. Yeah, your edges are rounded. It has a rounded base.
Ugh. Get those out of here. Yeah. But I like the variety. So like in my 45 molds, I've probably got 20 different molds in 45s. And, that's 45 long Colt and 45 ACP.
Yeah.
But there is some overlap.
Oh, yeah. You can use the same bullet for multiple guns and multiple cartridges sometimes, too.
So, I can take some of my Colt bullets, load them in the 45 ACPs. If I'm in bear country, you can bet I'm carrying a 250 grain bullet in my 1911.
Okay.
And it's going to hit harder, a little bit slower.
Yeah.
But the performance.
Are you sure it's not going to just bounce off?
Pretty sure. We can test it. Let's go find a bear.
Yeah.
I didn't see any over the weekend. Sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe
next weekend.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, my turn.
Yeah, what do you got?
All right, so kind of sliding on Gene's last one, I was going to say almost infinite bullet designs. So commercially, you go to the store, even like a really fancy reloading shop, like your jacketed options are going to be pretty limited. Not quite as limited in the rifle section. It seems like there's tons of cool jacketed rifle bullets. But when you get down to the pistol bullets, it's pretty much the same stuff.
Well, there's only so much innovation they can do. Mm-hmm. And they're all doing jacketed rounds, or they're doing mediocre lead rounds. And, there's just not a whole lot they have left that they can do unless they start doing really nice boutique cast bullets.
Yeah. And so that was the thing I was going to say is like with cast bullets, for one, if there's something you're looking for or you want and it doesn't exist, you can draw it up and you can get it made.
Oh, yeah.
And I've done that a lot of times with NOE. So, for example, we talked about the old cartridges, like just old revolvers, lever guns, that kind of stuff. And sometimes you have new cartridges that come out and you see that there's not a good bullet made for it yet. And an example of that was when 458 SOCOM started becoming a little bit more mainstream. Everybody was limited to like certain bullet designs, and it was basically 4570 bullets and loading them into this semi-auto AR-15 cartridge. And sometimes the ogive and just different aspects of the bullet weren't quite optimized for the 458 SOCOM, even though it would kind of, you could get them to work. And so, for example, I wanted kind of a round nose bullet that was 500 grains for 458 SOCOM subsonic. Okay. With that round nose, it's got a little bit higher BC, and it fed perfectly, right?
Nice.
So I drew up a bullet, and I had NOE produce it, and that's one of the bullets that he stocks right now. It's a kind of pointy, kind of round nose on the tip, but it's
kind of like so it's a round nose, not a flat tip then.
Yeah, it's round nose.
Interesting. Okay.
And that one, I found that it was built for the 458 SOCOM, but I found that my 4570s, single feeding them because they have that pointier tip round nose.
Right.
But the single shots, I shot it in my Sharps rifle.
Nice.
Yeah, powder coated pointy bullet, like in my Sharps. and I've shot it in my 12-inch Encore 4570, just subsonic. And anyway, so bullet designs and options, the sky is the limit.
Nice.
You know, if you can convince 10 other people to
Buy one,
buy
I'll
one,
build
then
it.
yeah. So that's one of the. And then another thing I was going to say, the cast bullets travel through barrels easier than jacketed bullets.
This is true.
You're more likely to get, like when you're experimenting with low velocity loads like subsonic stuff, you're less likely to get a cast bullet stuck in a barrel than a jacketed.
Okay.
And so I had a friend who was two friends actually. One was experimenting with 300 blackout subsonics and was using a jacketed bullet, and he got it stuck.
Okay.
He was using the same load as a cast bullet, but with his jacketed bullet, and it got stuck in the barrel.
Huh.
And then a different friend, I had helped him load up some light 38 special loads for his GP100, and he was loading some jacketed bullets, and he got a nice little stack of bullets inside. His friend was shooting it, and pull the trigger, cock it, pull the trigger, cock it till it doesn't go.
Oh gosh.
And so he had to rebarrel that. So
That's too bad.
so that is, the cast bullets are just really good at the subsonic,
And
area.
you get a more efficient use of your powder. You get the same velocities with a couple of grains less. So if you're trying to stretch your powder, cast is the way to go.
Yeah. Now, another one of my top 5 reasons for shooting cast bullets was kind of range aspects, like things that it does at the range that I like. So I shoot steel a lot, and sometimes with jacketed ammo, like pistol ammo, I've been shooting, and then I'll get a little.
You get shot back?
You get shot back by the jacket.
I've experienced that. I
Yeah.
pulled a piece of metal jacket out of my bottom lip at a range once.
That is actually pretty funny because I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
little
wasn't
piece
even
of
shooting. I was standing behind the shooters.
yeah. I was
That's the worst
shooting
place
and,
to be.
Yeah.
and a little piece of the copper jacket came back and stuck in my lip, my bottom
Yeah.
lip.
This
And-
was about a 1/4 inch long. This was a big
Oh.
chunk, yeah. And it was like I had to peel it off of my
Ew.
lip. It
Oh, wow.
was pretty bad. Anyway,
So you get less splashback
Yeah.
with the jackets and stuff. Lead bullets, when they hit steel, they just splat.
Yeah.
Like they just splat. So that's one of the benefits. And also with that, splatting nature of the cast bullets, in Utah we've had some fire risk involved.
we've
with-
had actual fires because of it.
well,
Allegedly.
Well, up where we practice and ride, that all burnt because of the shooting range.
that was a police,
right. It was a police
and they were
range.
probably shooting something weird.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing that.
They were
Yeah.
But
probably
that's what
shooting
caused it.
tracers or shooting like those.
It could have been. It could have been.
the steel penetrators or something.
Yeah.
All I know is our trails just barely opened again.
Yeah. So cast bullets, it's like I think it's pretty much impossible to catch something on fire shooting
Yeah.
lead at it.
Unless you're using black powder.
But then
Then
it's
there's
not.
a chance.
But that's
But
not the. That's
It's not the bullet.
It's not the bullet.
powder
It's the
then.
powder behind
Yeah.
it. So, and then I was going to say the prepper aspect of shooting cast lead. So the ability to buy a mold and get set up for casting, and then when the poo hits the fan, like it has with the ammo shortages, and you can't find, projectiles to reload or ammo that's already made, you can just go in your garage and
Make
heat
your own.
up the lead pot and pour some bullets.
Yeah.
Well, now that you mention that, let's transition into our topic and talk about what it takes to get set up to cast your own bullets.
All right. And so that was what I was alluding to at the beginning of the episode.
This is the 101 part.
This is episode Bullet Casting 101.
All right.
So, all right. And what I wanted to do was kind of explain, if you were to want to start casting bullets and you're like, I don't even know where to get started, what do I need to buy? So I wanted to go over a couple different setups, like going from bare minimum, like caveman bullet casting, all the way up to,
And there's a lot of guys that like
the
to
Cadillac.
do that.
Oh, yeah.
That like to do the bare minimum caveman style casting.
Yeah.
Well,
Campfire, in the woods.
yeah. So in a few years back, I mean, YouTube, of course, deleted that video, but I did the Taco Apocalypse video
Oh, yeah.
where I did casting and loading without using any electricity or propane.
Okay.
So for lighting everything
Okay.
and measuring my powder and stuff. And anyways, it was pretty fun. But I ended up casting using a rocket stove and just gathering up sticks in my backyard.
Oh,
And-
okay.
That's
and-
not quite caveman level.
No, caveman level is a little bit different. But
Yeah.
we'll get into it. So what are the things you need to start bullet casting? One, you need a heat source. That could be either some kind of an open flame. Caveman style would be campfire.
Campfire.
Yeah.
And then if you go to like Cadillac level, then you got a master caster where it's almost automated.
Right.
And then you need a way to pour the lead into the mold, and that would be either a ladle to scoop the lead out of a pot and pour it in, or you could use a spout on a bottom pour lead pot. You also need a bullet mold, which is obvious, and there's lots and lots of varieties,
Oh,
different
yeah.
brands. Of course, we are all partial to the high quality NOE bullet molds, but bullet molds can be had from other manufacturers for really cheap prices. I will throw in a little
You do
tidbit
get
of
what you
you
pay
get
for.
what you pay for.
Yeah.
Just like everything else in the world.
And
they
sometimes
will
you get less.
and they'll kind of work, but at some point you will be unhappy with it.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to get into bullet casting, buy good stuff to begin with. But we'll get into more of that later.
Yes.
So
And then the other thing you need is a way to cut the sprue. So depending on the bullet mold, some of them you just need a little whacker, and NOE makes a great little. It looks like what are those little things
like
that
a little tire thumper.
No, the little
Oh.
things that they look like that you run on your clothes to get the lint.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, a
yeah.
lint
The lint roller.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look like little lint
It
rollers.
does look like a lint roller.
But those are really nice. I think they're called the NOE mold mallets. But you need something to whack on the sprue plate to cut the
That's
sprue.
not going to damage the sprue plate. That's why you're not using your hammer.
Correct.
Well,
you don't
in
want
some
metal
molds-
on the metal.
Like some of the old round ball molds and the old style type ones that are made new.
Yeah,
They don't have a sprue cutter.
Yeah, and
so
you
you
have to
gotta have
actually
a
get
separate-
wire cutter type
Yeah.
things to cut
Get some
the,
nippers to take them off. So
Yeah.
Mm.
those will work in certain cases.
Yeah.
But
So something to cut the sprue, whether it's a little wire cutter for those ones you're talking about, like the round ball molds, the old style, or you can use. I mean, you don't want metal on metal because you don't want to peen the edge of your sprue plate.
and they're hot, so even though like you think brass would be okay, the hot steel is actually going to bend and curl up from being hit with brass.
So caveman style, you take like a little
Block of wood.
block of wood, a dowel, something like that. But it will splinter over time because
Yep.
I've gone through. Before I discovered the NOE mold mallet, then I had lots of splinters, splintery things, and it works.
And the mold mallets are more or less it's a turned piece of wood, the handle that
With a-
has a piece of polymer slid
PVC.
over PVC slid
Yeah.
over it. That,
And there's a
you
little-
can use one of those Nomar resin mallets.
Yeah, you could do something like
I
that.
use those all the time.
Yeah,
Not
They're
for
cheap.
this, but
But I will say the NOE one with the PVC,
they're
it-
classy.
It can whack for thousands and thousands of whacks before
And
you need to.
they look really good.
They work good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you need a way to cut the sprue, and then you need, after the bullets are cast, you need a way to either lube them or coat them,
Yep.
and then we'll talk about that later. And then you also need a way to size the bullets, and if you're using like a traditional lube, sometimes the lubing and sizing can be done in the same machine.
Yep.
So, all right, so now we're going to talk about the caveman setup. The cheapest way to do it, and that would be with an open fire. Cheating, you could probably use like a camp stove or anything that makes fire. So you
Yeah,
need your
pretty
heat
much.
source, and then you need like a cast iron pot. Cast
Good
iron
idea.
That you're
usually
never
works the
gonna
best.
eat in again.
Yeah.
You can get by with, like, if you've got little pieces of lead, like the caveman style would be just using the ladle. Like you'd have
Yeah,
the
you
ladle
could put the
over
ladle
there.
in the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of
Incredibly
like a crackhead.
slow. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We'll call it the crackhead method. No offense to you muzzleloader aficionados out there, but yeah.
All right. And so then you would need the ladle for pouring the lead. And a lot of times you want like a little, I use old spoons like from a discount store, and you bend them at
From
a
the
90
crack
degrees.
days?
and you can use those to skim the slag and stuff off the
Yeah,
top.
I don't
and
know,
you have to skim them because otherwise you end up with impurities in your bullet, and it can really make a mess of things.
I feel
Yeah.
like if I have this stuff in my vehicle and I get pulled over, I'm going to be arrested for drug paraphernalia.
No, they'll give you
No.
a hard time. Some places they might would arrest you, but it's just because they've got to meet their quotas.
Oh, yeah.
All you gotta do is show them the bullet mold and say, "Hey, this is for making bullets, not meth."
And they'd be like, all right.
Yeah. And then the next thing have on the list is a thermometer. You don't absolutely need it, but it is
They're handy.
amazing to have when things are not working correctly.
I imagine.
And when you're
going with-
starting out, it's
Yeah.
better to have a thermometer because then you can see what works. Because I mean, if you haven't melted lead before, you don't know what hot lead looks like.
Yeah, and you don't know when it's at its perfect like temperature, like
Yeah.
because you want it to be hot enough that it's not kind of like sludgy,
Yep.
but you want it cool enough that it doesn't oxidize too much.
Yeah.
So
So I assume you're using a contactless thermometer, or no?
no,
No,
can,
it's a steel stem thermometer that you can just stick in.
Oh.
and you
and
can, you
they're-
can also use those electric thermometers that have a probe, like a steel probe that you stick in.
Oh, yeah, you could do
what
those too.
about the laser ones? You ever use those?
The way it reflects, I don't think it's
I don't
you get
think it would work
accurate
well.
readings.
Okay.
Yeah, it's better to have one in there.
So you use
So-
your wife's candy thermometer.
No.
That's not. I don't think that gets
No.
hot enough. Or
Well, and
can
it would
handle the high.
it'd probably explode.
No.
Like the glass ones?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't do
Yeah.
No,
Bad
get the
idea.
steel stem dial thermometer. They're, what, 40, 50, 60 bucks, something like that.
Or
Where is a caveman going to come up with that?
NOEbulletmolds.com. I think
Yeah.
NOE has some. So, anyways, then you got your bullet mold, and you need some protective equipment, which you want to protect your eyes,
Yep.
so safety glasses,
Face shield, something like that.
and then you want to protect your hands because you're handling really hot bullet molds.
Yeah.
And, I probably have some decent scars I could show you that have, right there on my hand. I got
Oh,
some
yeah.
lead that just splashed on me, and
Yeah. So at a bare minimum, what would you say for gloves? Like good
Leather gloves.
or would you recommend welding gloves?
Gauntlets.
I would say that depends on how
If you're a
protective
klutz,
you want to be.
Get welding gloves. You can get them for 20 bucks a pair at your local farm store or whatever. And if you're not a klutz, then go ahead and just like regular gloves. Because I use just regular leather work gloves.
Yeah.
And that works. But I've
There's-
got friends that they really need a leather suit
Yeah.
to do
One of
that.
those silver suits.
And here's the other thing I'll recommend. They, Harbor Freight, they sell that leather apron.
Yeah. That's actually a
works
good thing to get.
to protect your body and everything.
Yeah.
I would recommend wearing long sleeves and long pants,
a good
even
idea.
though you will see in my videos that sometimes I don't.
Shorts
But-
and flip-flops and hot lead are a bad idea.
You also do not want to wear like running shoe type shoes because hot lead will melt straight through that mesh.
Oh, yeah.
It will ruin your shoes and it will make your
And
toes
your foot.
nice and hot.
Yeah. Cotton. You want to wear cotton
What about
Or leather.
or leather.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like as far as clothing, so like this shirt, it's a fishing shirt, kind of a lighter
It'll
synthetic.
Melt to you.
It'll melt through
It'll
it
melt right
so
through,
fast.
yeah. And
Yeah.
it ruins it, which is sad.
Natural materials are.
Yeah.
If it spends any time in the workshop, it's ruined anyway. So
So those are the recommendations clothing wise and stuff. You'll realize that after you get more experience and stuff, then maybe the dexterity is more important. So you accept a certain level of risk by wearing the shorter gloves, but they give you a little bit more dexterity. So it's trade-offs, and if I'm casting and it's like 95 degrees outside, I'm going to be casting in shorts. And I just realized I have more of a chance to, get lead on my legs on
Yeah.
that section that's not covered by socks or whatever.
What about ventilation? I assume you want to do
Yes.
this outside more
you
than.
definitely want good ventilation.
Yeah, so
Some
where
fans.
if you're doing it in an enclosed area, make sure, because you can set up those little, what is it called? The fans that suck the air right off the
Exhaust
pot. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
run an exhaust straight out to your outside. I've seen some people
Vent it
set
over
up
to the neighbors.
vented outside. Yeah.
Once it's
But-
outside, it's fine. It's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah.
But I don't do that. I just cast in my garage. But where I cast in my garage is like right next to the door
And you've got
a foot
the
away
door
from the door,
open.
and I have the door open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The overhead door or just the man door?
The big garage
Okay,
door.
yeah. Yeah, so if you're in a spot, so like my shop, I have my casting bench by the man door, but I've got a whole slew of fans that I can converge on that spot to just force air out.
Yeah.
And so I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you want to
Mostly.
be aware of ventilation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the next thing on the list is something to drop the bullets into. So some people like to water quench their bullets, so they'll drop their bullets into like a bucket of water, and they'll have like a t-shirt on top with a hole cut in the middle so that the bullets hit the t-shirt and then slowly drop down into the middle and then quench.
Why
so
do you wanna do that?
You don't want to dent your bullets when you're dropping them.
Yeah, if you just drop them hot onto
Something.
a towel, it's going to work mostly, but
Yeah.
you're going to get some dented bullets.
What if
You'll
you
be
just had a
fine,
big
but like
bucket
if
of
you
water?
drop them directly onto like a wood bench or something, then
Yeah.
it would dent
What
it.
if you just dropping them into a bucket of water?
You can actually still dent them. You want to slow the fall.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other thing is if with the t-shirt over it, that's also going to prevent splashback.
Yes.
And
Okay.
water and hot lead
Don't
is a
they-
bad mixture.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of that protective equipment we talked about
Mm-hmm.
will be very silver if you introduce water into hot
Yeah.
lead.
Some people call it the tinsel fairy.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't want to meet the tinsel fairy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we're talking about is if you were to take like a wet bullet, like a bullet that you want to remelt, and if you throw it in your casting pot, it will explode.
Yep.
And you will have molten lead all over. So you have to be
Good to
very
know.
careful. And the reason it explodes is because it drops down below the lead surface, and then it immediately turns into vapor instead of liquid, and that just causes
Because
it
of
to.
the water.
Yep.
Okay.
So.
Good
Yeah.
to know.
All right, and so besides something to drop the bullets into, this is more of less of the caveman and more of the civilized casting. It's some way to preheat your bullet molds. In all my casting and teaching other people and helping troubleshoot other people's bad bullets, the number one thing is like the mold itself, not the lead temperature, but the mold temperature is off, so it's not hot enough.
So
And
it's
so-
cooling too quickly when you're pouring the
Well,
lead
it's
into it.
they start casting and they come out wrinkled, and they're like, "Oh, something's wrong. I need to clean my bullet mold out again and whatever."
Yeah, and most of the time it is temperature.
It's just temperature.
So
It's
if
too
you-
cold.
If you have it hot, if your mold is, I don't know, we'll say 500 degrees.
No, it'll be like you want your mold to be 375 to 400 degrees.
Okay, well, there we go. See, I don't use a thermometer on my molds, so I don't know what they are.
Yeah,
I
that's
just know they're hot enough when they cast really pretty bullets.
Right.
And so I'm kind of more of the caveman gentleman, and
Do you put your bullet molds in the lead pot for
I
like
do.
20 seconds?
it depends on the mold. Some of
Okay.
them I leave
That
them
is
in
the
there.
caveman method.
Yeah,
It works, but then
You're putting it in the mold with the
You-
lead?
you don't
So you-
submerge it. You just barely put.
Yeah, you just have a
Sit
corner
over
of
there.
it in there.
Yeah.
And so
it-
I usually have like 3 molds going at a time when I'm casting, so they don't get too hot. Depends on the mold. Some of them I have to run just that one mold to keep it hot enough. But if I'm running like 2 or 3 molds, I'll have like the corners of the 3 in the lead pot.
You got to be careful though, because you do not want to overheat your molds.
Yeah, if you
And that
overheat
is-
them, that's bad.
Because if you get them to that 500, 600, 700 degrees,
They
then
don't cool off quick enough?
no, you could
It'll warp.
it'll
Oh,
warp.
okay.
You know,
And then you've got a really pretty paperweight.
yeah. So if the mold blocks themselves warp,
Yeah.
then your bullets are warped, which
Yeah.
means they don't shoot well. So I'm going to recommend to Gene this $15 Amazon Marvel for bullet casting. It's like
A hot plate?
it's a hot plate.
$15, man.
Yes, $15 on Amazon. You get one of those cheap single burner
Just a single burner.
aroma hot plates.
Okay.
And that has made the world of difference in
And
my
what
casting.
temperature do you set the hot plate on?
So the hot plate, it just has like low, medium,
Yeah.
warm, whatever.
So where do you
and I
put
know that on my particular one, if I put it on the left edge of W on low, it will heat it up to about 380 to 400 degrees.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Okay.
And so that's just with trial and error
Yeah.
of like, but
Now, how do you check the temperature on your molds?
I don't.
Oh,
Then how do
You
know?
can. So that's one of the options of NOE. They have a drill for probe.
Okay.
They'll actually drill a hole in your mold that you can stick a temperature probe in.
Huh.
And so you can monitor the temperature as you're casting. Because
how do you-
there's some really high end, well, not high end, professional expert bullet casters who will make sure that their mold is at the exact same temperature when they're casting, so they get the same bullets, same properties, same weights, all that stuff.
Yeah.
The
Interesting.
competition shooters.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So 15, maybe because of the byte inflation, it's more like $20. But single burner hot plate makes the world of difference. And you preheat your molds on there, and then so then I get good bullets on my first pour
Nice.
instead of having to
Get it up to temperature.
yeah, get the mold up to temperature by casting. It's like I preheat them, I stick them in, and it's the first or second pour.
It's like making
I get.
pancakes the first 2 or 3 with
Yeah,
crap.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but when you get your butter ratio just
And
right,
the griddle's just the
and
right
it's just the right temp,
Yeah.
they turn out perfect. But
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll give that a try.
Yeah, you
understand
should. I
that.
highly recommend it.
Okay.
And then the other thing is, when nature calls, then you just set those bullet molds on the hot plate, and
Oh,
it
there you
keeps them
go.
hot. And so you can go use the bathroom, whatever you need to do, come back, and then keep continuing. If you go and take a short break, and then your molds cool down, then you have to get to the point where you're heating them back up to the right temperature again.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
all right, and this is going to be the little nicer setup. And that would be an electric melting pot, like the little Lee or Lyman pots that are still ladle pour or ladle
yeah.
casting, but it's just a little thing that you plug into the outlet and put your lead in, and it melts it for you.
Like one of those things that you put your potpourri in.
Yeah, and it'll have but
Yeah, kind of.
it'll have a temperature dial, so you can control the temperature with the little dial instead of like getting different logs and, oh man, it's too hot, pull that log out, put a different one in.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit easier. A lot of guys like that because I'm not sure why, but they seem to like ladle pouring.
Yeah. And so with that little nicer setup, you still have to have a ladle, a bullet mold, and all the other previously mentioned
So
equipment.
how much are you talking for a pot like that?
I haven't checked with COVID prices, but
They're probably
like
around-
$60 or so.
Yeah, probably. You
60,
probably find them
70.
for
it's pretty
50 even.
affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you check eBay, you can find them used
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
because there's always guys that start off with that and then they upgrade.
Yeah.
And then you can buy a used one for, half that price.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they're still good. You can get parts for them.
Yeah.
So, not
Okay.
a bad way to go.
The next one is the step up.
I have a question.
Okay.
What kind of a ladle do you use? Any stainless steel
no,
ladle?
no. So they actually have casting ladles.
Okay.
And they're basically like a ball.
A cast iron ball that's hollowed
Yeah.
out.
okay.
It's
And
like
it'll have-
open on one side, and then it's got a little nozzle on the other and a long handle. So you can just dip it in. Then if you have it at this point, it's not going to spill out.
right.
And then you can just pour it very
And
precisely where
the
you want it.
interesting part about that is a lot of the casting ladles, they have a spout, the hole in the spoon, that's below the surface so that you don't get the oxidized stuff on the top pouring down.
Yeah,
So
yeah. that's a
casting
good
ladles
point.
are nice for
Okay.
that. So.
Yeah, and they're inexpensive.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one, which is the even nicer setup. This one it's still relatively inexpensive, but you go with like a Lee Pro 420 pot, and
The
that
bottom
one is a bottom pour, and it holds 20 pounds of lead.
And that's actually a nice one. They've got their other one that's like a 10-pound pot.
Yeah.
It's a bottom pour. It kind of sort of works. Don't buy that one.
So I would say I
Go
wouldn't
big.
go as far as say that it's nice, the Lee 420. It's sufficient.
Yeah.
It works. The downside is that it leaks. It doesn't have like a digital PID or a digital temperature control. It has like the dial
Yeah.
that's not totally accurate.
You
It's
just pick where you
pick
want
where
it.
you need it, and then
Yeah.
you still need the thermometer so you can
Right.
see which setting on the dial correlates with the temperature
Right.
you want. And then you don't need the ladle. And the cool thing about the Lee ones is that because so many people have them, that they make people sell modifications or upgrades to those lead pots. NOE makes a mold guide that clamps to the left leg, and it's the same mold guide that will work on the RCBS and Lyman pots as well.
So how much is the Lee pot?
The Lee pot, it used to be like, what, about $70?
They used to be.
So not that much more than...
It's
No,
not
really
a,
not.
Yeah, and that's why
Okay.
this one would be a great starter.
So
one to go with.
what's the next level above the Lee pot?
You probably got what, the Lyman?
Okay, so the nice, I nicknamed this the nice setup.
Okay.
And this one is either an RCBS Pro Melt 2 or the Lyman Mag 25. And both of these are bottom pour lead pots. So they have that, like a little lever that you lift up and a lead pours out the bottom out of a nice spout. And both of these are good. I mean, I have the Lyman Mag 25. The mold guide on that one sucks, and you'll need to replace it.
With an NOE?
Well, that's actually the reason the NOE mold guide got produced, was because I bought this Mag 25 pot, and I was so angry at this mold guide that they included because it only fits Lyman molds.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe Lyman and RCBS, but not
So it's
like...
not that it's necessarily a bad guide, it's just...
It's a bad guide.
It's a
It's
specific
horrible.
guide.
It's both.
Well, and you can, if it's too specific, it's bad.
Yeah,
Because
Because-
you should have the ability to use any mold.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're close enough that
Yeah, it wouldn't seem
should
like
make
it would be that big of a deal.
Yeah,
but-
it's not like you have, Lyman molds that are an inch wide and RCBS molds that are 2 inches wide and NOE molds that are 2.5 inches wide. They're all pretty close.
Yeah.
And
But yeah, it was very aggravating. And you might notice that a lot of the little knick-knack products that NOE makes, they were born out of my frustrations.
oh, nice.
And so I'd have a frustration with the product, and then I'd come to Al and say, hey, I have this drawing. Do you think you could make something like this? And then, you could sell it. And I don't care if you make money off it. I don't need any money off it. I just want one for me.
Yeah.
And so that's how the mold guide
And he
was
probably
was
figures
created.
if you have that issue, somebody else
Then
does.
everybody
Oh, yeah.
else, yeah. And the RCBS pot, it has a better adjustable mold guide, but you can still use the NOE one to give it like a shelf rather than just a little L-shaped wire to...
And the shelf is much better.
Yeah. I mean, you
Um,
can just rest the mold on it and you can slide it across it.
I've got
It's
a
great.
RCBS. I don't know what model it is. It's green. It's got
Yeah.
a 25-pound pot on it. It's nice. But when I bought it, it already had a shelf put on. So much nicer.
Yeah.
So
what,
nice.
what are those pots going for?
Oh,
I
I
think retail's close to 300 now, isn't it? Like
yeah, I
2.5,
think
300.
they used to be about
So that's a
200,
huge jump
250.
in price.
I think last time I checked, they were about 250, and now they're
The-
probably more.
That's
The
a-
other benefit that they have, though, is they have a digital PID. So
Yeah,
you can just set the temperature.
and it'll hold it.
Yes, you type in, like, I want my lead to be 750 degrees or 740 degrees, and it will heat it up and maintain that
Nice.
temperature. So,
But there's a big jump in price
There
from that
is.
Lee to
Yeah.
those.
Yes.
And you can buy a used one, for less money that's going to work.
Yeah.
You'll want the thermometer to go with it because mine, it's got the dial. And,
Yeah. So
and it's
with
it's
those
a
other ones,
great
though,
pot.
the digital PID ones, the Lyman Mag 25 or the RCBS Pro Melt 2, you don't need a thermometer. So you
Yeah.
can save money on a thermometer and you don't have to buy the ladle. There's benefits. It's just like a plug it in, set the temperature, and then
Yeah.
smile.
Yeah.
And the
It's-
consistency is nice.
Mhm.
I haven't enjoyed that consistency while casting bullets, but with heat treating, I have really enjoyed my furnace with the digital thingy that I just punch in what I want, and
Oh, yeah.
it's so much nicer.
That's where
that
the
way.
digital temperature,
Yeah.
And
is-
if you're
is great.
consistent, your results are going to be consistent.
Yeah.
So if you are casting bullets and say, I don't know, you have something go wrong with the doohickey and the dial thingy on the
On the whatchamacallit?
On
on the
the
whatchamacallit,
Yeah. I'm following you.
Yeah, so, things go wrong on those all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If you have that and suddenly you have inconsistent results, because normally it's sitting here on the dial and you're not getting the same results you got last time, the digital setup is a lot nicer that way.
yeah.
It's,
Now, some people will say, well, why is there that huge jump in price from that little Lee bottom pour to the,
Yeah.
So the biggest difference is 5 pounds of lead, digital PID, and the Lee ones, they call it
And it
like
won't leak.
lead art. because of the drips from the lead spout on
it's
the
beautiful.
Lee ones. It just makes these little
little
artsy
towers
of
these
lead.
these flowing lead towers. They're actually quite pretty. I haven't had any in ages.
Yeah.
And any Lee that you buy is going to leak.
Yeah, they all do it.
You can
So-
buy one
Wow.
brand new, and the very first time you cast in it, it's going to leak.
So it's kind of funny
That's
because
crazy.
Al, he has the Lee bottom pour pot, and they use it to test their molds all day, every day, right? He just stuck a screw up the spout so that, and then he ladle casts when he does
Okay.
the testing.
Interesting.
Because he, kept dripping.
And there's
you
no
can't
fix
have it
for it.
drip when you're walking away because then it'll be like this
Yeah.
mountain of lead coming
Yeah,
out
and then
of
you
your
got to get
spout.
out the nippers and cut it
Yeah.
out, and it's just.
Well, then
messy.
you don't have to put a screw in the hole.
But you're not casting with it either.
Yeah.
So,
So then we jump up to, like, I'm going to call this the premium setup.
nice.
And that would be the 40-pound master caster pot. As we have one in, this one's Owl's that he wants to, or wanted me to put together for him. But this master caster
It's
pot,
blue like a Dillon, so it
They're-
must be really expensive.
it's expensive.
That's how you know when you've got an expensive tool in reloading.
If it's
it's
blue.
blue. Yeah.
Yeah. This pot, the pot itself isn't blue. The stand that it comes with and a handle.
Right.
This one is like semi-automated. You basically bump your hand to the left. It fills up the two cavity mold, and then it has a wood handle that you bring it down. Then you push it back up. Then you bump your hand to the left, fill up the mold. So it does all this stuff kind of automated
Yeah.
with just a pull of a handle and bumping your hand to the left.
And now we're spending.
Thousands.
Holy moly.
Yeah. So there are reasons why you would want something like that. If you're older and you have more money, but your body is like failing you,
More money than sense.
you want to spend more money on your pot and less on your arthritis,
Yeah.
then you can.
Because casting, I mean, let's be honest. If you do a lot of casting, especially depending on what material your molds are made out of,
Yeah.
it's kind of intensive on the wrists.
Yeah.
Like I've got a couple of brass molds. They're heavy.
Yeah.
They hold heat really well, and they cast beautiful bullets, but they're
Yeah.
they're heavy.
And that's where
And-
that little NOE mold guide shelf thing
Right.
comes in real handy.
But you're
Those
still
brass
taking
ones
it
are so
out.
heavy. Yeah.
And you're still having to whack the sprue
Right.
and hold it and everything while you're doing that. And so it is intensive. So if
if
you do have arthritis,
The master
This-
caster, you're not lifting any weight.
yeah, you're just working
You just-
this lever.
You just work a lever, and it's not that hard, and you're just bumping your hand to the left to pour the lead.
And it's fun to say master caster.
Yeah.
Master blaster. So that would be like, I would say, like the kind of like top end before you get into the automated like commercial bullet casters that have carousels, and you just plug them in, turn them on, and let them go, and
Oh,
they
wow.
have eight molds spinning around casting.
Wow.
Those
I
are cool.
Didn't know that existed.
Yeah.
I guess I should have known that existed, but
Yeah.
oh, okay.
And then I guess we're kind of out of time. Maybe we could talk about it a different episode. But basically, after you cast your bullets, you have all these shiny bullets. You have to either lube them or you have to coat them. If you plan to coat them, you can get by with just using a cheap toaster oven. You
Yeah.
get those on the classifieds for like $10 or so, and you just get some powder coating powder, or you can use, there is what is it called, high-tech coating. You could also use that. It works okay. That's what the commercial bullet casters use. It works really well. It's applied in liquid form, so it's kind of messy compared to the dry powder
Yeah.
if you're powder coating. But if you don't powder coat and you want to traditionally lube them, there's tumble lube that is just, you can A-LOX, throw some A-LOX in it, or 45-45-10, and you just shake them up, then set them out to dry, and then they're good. And you can also pan lube them, or a couple of
Yeah,
different...
pan lube is incredibly
or-
slow. Don't do
Yes,
it.
don't do
You'll
it.
hate it.
Yeah, it's messy, it's slow, but a lubricizer is a cool little machine that
Yeah.
will size the bullets and push lube into the lube grooves.
And you can also set a gas check at the same time.
Yeah.
Like you can do up to 3 things all at once. They're
So
really cool.
those are pretty cool. Those cost about what, $175?
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, around there. 150, 200, depending on what brand you get.
Yeah, and then so you can either use one of those lubricizers to size your bullets, or you can use the Lee makes some dies. NOE makes some bushing sizing dies so that you can actually just buy one die and then have all these different bushings up, all these different custom sizes, and you just run it through the press where you push the bullet through that die and it squeezes
on a reloading press.
on a reloading
standard
press, just a regular reloading press. So, anyways, that is what you would need to do to get started.
Yeah.
Cool.
And if I would say it's worth it to at least jump to the Lee 420 bottom pour pot if you're starting. I would say at least go there.
Yeah, start there. You
Because
will
ladle
replace
casting
it.
is a little tricky for
Yeah.
new people.
Yeah, ladle casting isn't fun.
Well, and the pot's not that much of a difference in price.
No.
Yeah.
It's like
No,
10,
and the
20
Lee will
bucks.
get you into it.
Yeah.
It'll get you started.
If you're a buy once, cry once person, go with either the Lyman Mag 25 or the RCBS Pro Melt 2.
Yeah, and I think Seiko makes one as well. I actually had a.
Do they still make it?
That
I know
don't
a lot
know.
of the Seiko stuff doesn't exist or
Well, I
they've
don't
discontinued. I don't know. So
I don't know. I think they still make a lot of stuff or some
that would
stuff.
be something that you would need to research. But
Yeah, but
those are the taco recommendations for entry into the bullet casting realm.
Awesome. Well, that was very enlightening.
hey, Jason, wake up.
I'm riveted. No, that was good information, and there's probably a lot of people who are thinking about getting into it just because of where our ammo prices have gone.
Yeah.
I've actually had a lot of people ask about talking more about casting and kind of the equipment. So I figured doing the different levels would be kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it might be good to I don't know, like re-up a video that you've done before on casting. The process, and I think you did one a while back.
Yeah, I did a live what do you call it? Live stream.
Okay.
Where I cast bullets and I powder coated all in one
Nice.
thing.
Yeah, and the
then
powder coating.
YouTube gave me a channel strike and deleted the video and slapped my hand and said, "Don't do that anymore."
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe
But-
don't do that.
You can still find that video on Odyssey. So I have all my videos backed up there. So
Okay.
if you want to look at a live casting thing, you can always send an email to me and I'll send you a link if it's hard to find. So send us an email at concealedtacodudes@gmail.com.
Speaking of that, before we wrap it up, we need to remind everybody about the contest that we launched on the last episode, episode 100. You have until August 21st to get your entries in for the prizes. What you need to do to enter is send us an email at concealedtacodudes@gmail.com. Leave us a comment about the show, topic suggestions, constructive criticism, whatever, in that email, as well as letting us know the top 4 prizes that you would be interested in winning. Because some of these you may not. We just talked about bullet molds. You may not care about casting bullets. So don't put your name on the bullet molds that are a prize you could win, because they're going to be no good to you.
Yeah.
And if you are really wanting to get into casting, you can say, you could use NOE bullet mold package.
For all
as-
4 entries?
No, 2 entries.
Oh, 2 entries.
Because
Because there's
there's 2 prizes.
2 prizes.
Yeah.
So no double entries.
Except that one. You can double enter on the molds, but nothing else.
But that's because there's 2
Yeah.
to win. So here are the prizes again. We have Henry Nux with a holster for the Nux. Not a holster for your pistol, but a holster for the Henry Nux. But donated by Concealment Solutions, as well as a Cobra chest holster made to fit whatever gun you want, so long as it's a gun that we can fit. A limited edition Benchmade knife. It's number 49 of
45.
45 of 100.
It's a nice knife.
Donated by Mark over at Magholder. $150 credit at Black Ice Coatings. That will get you a fair bit of work done at
Yep.
Black Ice. 2 NOE bullet mold packages.
I'm actually jealous of that.
The NOE or
the
the Black Ice.
black ice, yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. A Diana Bandit air pistol in 177 donated by Utah Air Guns. And a Carcano rifle donated by Mark over at Magholder. So send us an email, concealedtacodudes@gmail.com. Give us comments about the show, whatever. Let us know where you want your prize entry to land on one of those. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3,
I
4,
think there's
5,
8.
6, 7. plus 2 molds. Yeah.
So there's 8 packages.
8 packages. 8 things that you could win, and we'll let you pick what you want to win. Not that you're gonna, but.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then when are we picking the winner?
It will be the end of August. So the 21st is when the entries need to be, and then we need time to organize them and put them in wherever they're going to go, and then do random drawings.
Yep.
And then,
so make sure when you send us an email at concealedtacodudes@gmail.com, make sure to give us a little bit of feedback on the show.
Yeah.
And list which 4 of the 8 items you would want to win.
Yeah, it's that simple. Okay, that's all we have for this week. Thanks for listening.
Take someone shooting.
Yeah, and we'll be here next time.
Probably.
Maybe.
Hopefully.
Forgot to- Do this.
What's funny is I have not been pushing episode 100
Yeah.
for like, hey, we're doing a giveaway, because I want like our hardcore listeners to like win the stuff, and then I'm gonna mention it on my channel afterwards, like for those of you who missed it, we were giving away a Carcana and like a
and they'll
number
go
45 out of 100.
Didn't miss anything. No.
You're like a Carcano.
And then free mold, like the mold package.
Yeah, the mold package
There's-
is sweet.
Yeah.
That knife is sweet.
The knife is sweet.
That air pistol is sweet.
The air pistol is sweet.